Okay.
What are we even cold open about? We've just been talking about Zelda for the last 20 minutes.
Every time we get out, I'm like, we could just do a cold open about Tears of the Kingdom each week. Just Tears of the Kingdom
recap.
I feel like it would be cool to do like a vault, a future vault episode or whatever, or focus piece thing on Tears of the Kingdom. But also it's like, and I've heard other people say this too, but it's like, what's the point at, like, when are you good on that game?
Yeah.
When can you give a full like review or retrospective?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people on like Reddit, someone will be like, I can finally rest, and it's like every shrine, every Korok seed. I think they found every like old map, every schematic, just everything. It's
yeah.
Like, I don't need
how. Yeah.
My friend Miles already has like 400 hours, and I'm like, I'm calculating like when the game came out and current date, average hours per day. Either you're leaving the system running or someone else in your house is like playing it too, because I know you have a normal job.
Right, yeah.
And that's like, you can't be playing for like 8 hours a day and also have a life outside of it. So how are you at like 400 hours?
Yeah,
that's like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's been like, what, about a month? I'm like, I haven't even hit 100. I'm at like 85 maybe.
That's about what I'm at, yeah. I feel like even if I, like, from the jump was like using a walkthrough, I would not be even close to like completing everything. Even if I was like, not as ADHD with it as I am, it's still like there's just so much. So yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah.
But also, like, I have 85 hours in, and I feel like I have barely scratched the surface. Yeah. Like I was at my dad's house a couple weeks ago and talking with like Kelly and Olivia, and they were like saying how they're like done with all the dungeons, and they hadn't done like the final, the final zone or whatever, but they had like done all the dungeons and like side questy stuff, and I had like 20 more hours in the game than them. And I'm at one dungeon down.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Kelly said that I was like deliberately avoiding the story, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Can't help myself.
Did they even get all of the tiers from like the?
Oh, I don't know. We didn't talk about those.
I've gotten like 4 or 5 of them now, and I'm kind of like, where are the other ones? Because they're so big, and there's like, I'm missing like 7 or 8, and I don't even know where they're at. I guess maybe in like Hebra or like the cold regions. I don't think I've gotten.
Oh, there's 1 or 2. There's a map in a place that shows you where they all are. So I took a picture of that map, and so I have a general idea of where they are.
Maybe I've seen that. Is that in Lookout Landing?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless if I can pull up.
Oh no!
That's the poster.
Oh no!
One of them crawled. The orange one crawled in between the poster and the door to pry it off the wall.
Oh my god! It's always the orange cats, man.
Yeah, man. She was like the chillest, snuggliest one, and then they hit like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
The terrible twos, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Welcome back, ladies and gents, to There'll Be Duds. This is episode 106, and I am your co-host, TJ, aka J-Spot Jack Cheese, and with me, as always,
I am Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and that's it. Despite like, I guess OG being the 4 of us, somehow just the two of us also feels like a throwback in a weird way.
It does already.
Because we did it for so long.
Here we go. Did the gang's
all
here. Yeah. And as always, as usual, as always, we watched a movie. That movie this week being Sunset Boulevard from 1950, directed by Billy Wilder. It follows Joe Gillis, a young up-and-coming screenwriter in Hollywood, trying to make it the big time. He ends up in the mansion of an aging silent film star, Norma Desmond. Sorry. Norma Desmond. And she gets him to script doctor a terrible script that she wrote for her big comeback film, although she doesn't like the word comeback.
That's right.
And he kind of gets roped into her world of weirdness. She's a very eccentric person, and also she murders him, but that's how the movie starts, so
yeah.
So you know that going into it. So yeah, what do you think? This is our first Billy Wilder
this is like his big movie, right? This is like what Billy Wilder tends to be known for, or is there? I feel like there's probably one more other one.
I think it depends on who you ask, but he's got a lot. Like he did The Apartment. Some Like It Hot would be another one that people would consider his big one. But he also did like Double Indemnity, Sabrina, 7 Year Itch.
Okay.
So he's got a lot. I think there's even some more.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I've only seen this in Some Like It Hot. So he's one of those classic directors that I've kind of slept on. Although,
okay,
and I really like the two of his that I've seen. So
right. Yeah, I really didn't take a ton of notes for this one. I just kind of I was along for the ride. I guess I took a few notes. I think the first note I took was, I am big. It's the pictures that got small. Yep. I was like, that is a very good line. That is such a good line.
You're Norma Desmond. Used to be in silent pictures. Used to be big.
I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
Yeah. I was like, I guess this is what Babylon was about.
Yeah,
like that whole idea of like aging stars and especially like this going from silent to talkies, which is funny because that is her story, the actress.
Yeah,
I don't think she was like as bitter and crazy about it.
No,
but that is essentially like what happened to her. This felt like a very meta movie, like with people from the period playing themselves.
I think the modern comparison is Birdman. That's what I think of, and because Michael Keaton playing a kind of version of himself.
Yeah,
similar sort of ideals, and there's a lot of like cameos from Hollywood people playing themselves in this, like Cecil B. DeMille and Buster Keaton. And even her butler, Max. That actor was also like a silent film actor, and he also directed some silent films, which in this it's like he was the one that discovered Norma, and he directed her first like silent movies and stuff.
And in the IMDb trivia section, apparently that was his idea for it to be it was his
actors?
idea. To
cool.
say, well, like, how about I found her and like I'm her first husband and I'm also the one that like started her career.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I really think that I feel like Max might be my favorite character. I feel like he's like really, I don't know, fleshed out, it seems.
Yeah.
And like that scene when he's like about to break down in tears, like trying to like keep the fiction alive for, or I think it's near the end. I like just watched it, so it's like trying to recall everything so fresh.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a scene basically where she is, I think it might be the scene when he comes back and then he's about to leave and he's just like, yeah, go ahead, Max, tell her. Why don't you tell her where the letters come from? And he just like, the whole thing is like crumbling underneath him, and I felt so bad for him. Like he tried to maintain this life for this woman that I think he loves more than she loves him.
Oh, yeah. Considering that, like, all that, there ties together, and yet she's, like, seducing this younger man, like, in front of him, and
yeah,
making him be their manservant.
Yeah. Kind of a bummer of a movie. I never expect those types of endings from like classic Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
Where I think they typically, da 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 da, like it's very upbeat fanfare, guy kisses girl, snarky one-liners, but her whole like basically temporary madness, gazing into the camera, almost calling out the audience.
Yeah.
Which I was like I don't know, I was watching it and like Chloe was on her phone, and when she said that line, I was like, that's us. She's talking about us. She's
Yeah.
like, what?
And those people out there in the dark.
Yeah.
You see, this is my life. It always will be. There's nothing else. Just us. And the cameras. And those wonderful people out there in the dark. All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
That final scene is like one of my favorite movie endings. That it's I think it's kind of what has helped this movie stick so much in my brain, because especially that the final shot of her, like with that, like her head turned back, like gliding towards the camera as it goes out of focus. That image is like burned into my brain. And then also like the delivery, I love when there's like a delivery of a line that you've heard like a million times, but then you hear the original quote and you're like, well, that was good. Her, all right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up. And and that's the last line of the movie. Yeah, I do like Max. I do think that Norma is my favorite character, just because I love how over the top she is with everything. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is, or could be, like the sort of prototype for that, the the self-referential, at least, I'm old Hollywood and this is how I act, I'm a big star and da da da.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's so fucking crazy the whole time, and I love it. I love her, like, delusion, and like all the, like, I don't know, I think the dialogue is really like snappy and good. There's the, like you said, the picture, the pictures that got small. That's, like I said, that's a really, really good one too. And like her one moment in the spotlight, literally, where she goes to the set of the movie and everybody instantly swarms her, and that's her high point. And then Cecil B. DeMille says, I like that this is how he says it. He says to the light guy, he's like, put that back where it belongs, meaning off of her. Away from her.
Yeah. Ooh. Oof. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost like, she probably would have been perfectly happy. Just the idea of doing the movie. It probably, never would have happened, but she would have been like, oh, no. We're going to get back together. We're going to make this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, living in that delusion, she probably would have been perfectly happy doing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, I think that's what she was doing, because it was like, it had been like weeks or something because she was doing all the makeup and all that. I don't know if it's like plastic surgery or, the like.
Yes. Oh.
And like, you would hear something in the meantime from the filmmaker. If you were working on a movie that was like being filmed, you would have heard about, been like, oh yeah, we need you on set next week or something like that. So yeah.
I think for me, I think what's kind of holding it back a little bit, I don't know, not really holding it back. I think I was expecting more like cinematography flourishes. I think I've been spoiled on like The Third Man and like all these other classic cinema things where it's like this felt a little more static, but there were a few really cool shots. The shot when I think it's when he lets what's her face, Bethany, Betty.
I think you're thinking of the same one that I'm thinking of.
When he kind of like tells her his situation, and basically like he's like, yeah, I don't have a contract. I'm here. I can kind of do whatever I want, and I have all of these suits and cufflinks and ties. And he basically like lets her out, and it kind of tilts up, and you can see her, and it like looks like a jail cell the way that the bars are, and it's like he shuts the door, and it's just, that was like the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh shit, it's like it's like, come back to me behind the bars. Yeah, this little prison that she basically like Stockholm syndromed him into, wanting to be part of. Yeah,
I like when they're sitting down to watch one of her movies. They're in her private movie theater, and he lights a cigarette and like blows, and then the projector comes on, and it's like all smoke in the projector, and it looks really nice in the.
Oh yes.
It's not like a shot in a particular way. I just think it looks really nice, and she like stands up in the light of the projector, and the smoke is like swirling around her head too.
Oh yeah.
Kind of cool.
And what's made me think of like Glenn or Glenda when she's standing.
Oh yeah.
Handing him like the thing.
Yeah.
Also like the use of him narrating post-mortem was kind of cool. Yeah. Which, I guess for like a contemporary thing, it made me almost think of like American Beauty. Because movie starts with like Lester's like, he's like, yeah, and you never realize it until the day you die. And he's like, basically, it's like, yeah, it's done post-mortem. Which apparently some people liked, and some people, I think it was like off-kilter. It's very strange for like a period, for like that period, for like a narrative thing to have like avoid like apparently people like Billy Wilder rejected this, but I guess people thought it had like an ambiguous ending because it was Joe Gillis like narrating still. He's
really?
Like, no, what do you like? It's like, no, he's clearly dead. Like, what are you talking about?
She shot him at night, and the police fish his corpse out of the pool the next day. He's face down in the pool.
Like he's clearly been there for like 12 hours at least.
Yeah. That's funny. I also I love how bitter she is towards like anything. She's like words. Who needs words?
Yeah,
we had faces. Like
even though she's like one of the most verbose characters in the entire movie. No, that's great because I think even when she goes to visit Cecil B. DeMille, I think one of the like boom mics comes down and she like looks at it and just kind of like swats it away, like, get this thing out of here.
Yeah.
Which like I think that's probably why she does so much of that overly facial acting, is like it's all you got.
I think so too. That's kind of the idea. So this movie is very influential too. I don't know, you'll often see any sort of I guess it's kind of like hand in hand with like the like Oedipal complex type stuff, but you'll often hear like, oh, she's like a Norma Desmond-esque character or something like that. But also more direct referential stuff. Did you catch the name of the guy who was calling her from Paramount Pictures?
I don't. If you're gonna say it, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, of course.
Gordon Cole.
Yes.
Like Special Agent Gordon Cole.
Yes. Okay.
What the hell?
Yeah, I think subconsciously I was like, why does that sound familiar? Yeah, interesting. Is that like a direct reference that Lynch made?
I mean, I'll tell you this. I don't remember exactly the context, but they play a scene from this in The Return, where they say the name Gordon Cole. And yeah.
Oh shit, that rules.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And then I don't know this if like after that I'm just like, I don't know, making shit up, but I have always kind of thought like, you know, could Mulholland Drive be like a kind of reference to like this title, you know?
Yeah.
Dark story about Hollywood too, you know?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that was at least partially an influence.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know, there's something about that time period in, like, California Hollywood that is just so strange to me. It's strange. I don't know. It's like, interesting. Like, Chloe wants me to read Joan Didion. I don't know if you know who that is or familiar with her at all.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading one of her books now, which is like a series of essays. But she's talking about California in like the 60s and just like the Tate, LaBianca, like Manson murders.
Okay.
And she's basically just talking about all this stuff that happens, and it's like all these streets. Like Mulholland Drive, Rodeo Drive, like Sunset Boulevard. It just, I don't know. Like, you know, Holly weird, maybe there's something to it. But that time and place is just interesting.
Hollywoodville, you mean?
Oh, Hollywoodville, yes.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's funny because there's a lot of like we think of that compared to this, but in this movie there's a lot of like, oh man, the city has changed so much from when she was a star, you know. So going back even further between like the 50s and the 20s, 30s.
Oh yeah.
And like, it's funny because a lot of people like consider like, I feel like maybe 50s, say like 50s is kind of like, people look back on that as like this sort of like golden age, but it's interesting to think of like a movie at the time being like, oh, Hollywood has faded now, and it's not like it was, you know, 20, 30 years ago.
I mean, I feel like that happens in phases. Like, even now, where, like, I think, like, a recent episode, I was talking about, like, they don't make movies like they did in, like, 1999. And it's like, I mean, you can even say that about the 2010s. Like, they don't make them like they used to make them in, like, 2010. It's like that happens every, like, generational change where it's like, people in the 50s are just like, wow, this place has really gone to shit.
Yeah. Or like Donald Trump said, this is on the Wikipedia page, after the 92nd Academy Awards, he tweeted, "So Parasite won Best Picture at the 92nd Academy Awards and lamented that movies like Sunset Boulevard aren't made anymore." I was like, has he seen this movie? I'm like,
no.
I don't know what he would get out of this movie unless he's a fan of an aging narcissist preying on a younger person and forcing them into a relationship with them.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That makes this sense. This makes sense then, because there was a Letterboxd review that I saw from Will Menaker that was like, "Bad film screenwriter Joe Gillis is not hot. Bases loaded is a bomb. This Hollywood loser goes from 0 to a #1 gigolo when he meets the great Norma Desmond. Thank you, President Trump, for bringing classic Hollywood glamour back." So okay, sweet. That makes sense.
That's funny. There's another thing, big influence reference that I thought maybe you would be able to pull this from memory, but it's one of the most, if not the most, referenced thing in The Disaster Artist. Like a lot of chapters start with a quote from this movie. It's like this, the talented Mr. Ripley, and
you're talking about like the book, The Disaster Artist?
The book, yeah. And it's funny, like, watching it in that context, because this is the first time I'd seen it, like, 'cause I haven't seen this movie in a really long time. It's the first time seeing it since reading the book, and it's funny having that in mind when she gives him her script, and he's talking about how childish and sloppy the handwriting is and how bad it's written and how he has to lie to her about how good it is and stuff, because that is, like, Greg and Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tommy loves classic cinema. I feel like he loves this shit.
Yeah.
Probably, completely... He watches it in his own special way. Let's just... I'll put it nicely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I liked it, but I don't have a ton of notes, I guess.
No, it's good. I mean, I'm... honestly, yeah, the only other note I had was a less... We're talking about a lot more, like, broad things here, but more specific to a scene is... I laughed at the scene where he skips out on Norma to go to the New Year's party with, like, his friends or whatever, and he, like, meets his friend. He's like, "Oh, hey, here's my girl, here's my gal, here's my friend Joe. Say hi." And they're like, "Oh, I know you," and they're like, "Yeah, the base is loaded, blah blah blah." And then the guy's like, "Say, what's going on here? How do you know each other?" And then they keep using, like, innuendo and lingo, and then he just walks away, and, like, it cuts away, but I imagine the guy's like, "What the like, I still don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about." Like, they never answer him.
It's just constant, like, innuendo for Hollywood shit. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my last notes was like, Max got to film his last movie. He finally got to film at least one more.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite Max scene. I think, even though he doesn't say much other than, like, action and, roll picture and blah blah blah, I think his facial, and maybe that's because he was also a silent film actor, so maybe that's why he's good at it. But his facial acting in that scene is really good. I think he looks very sad. And
yeah.
Ow. Yeah, are we already, like, too used to just having another person here? Because I do feel like this has got to be, like, our shortest conversation ever. This feels very weird. I feel like this is heresy for, like,
for such this movie you think would require, like, a big conversation. Mm-hmm. Maybe I think I got to start watching these, like, twice or something.
Yeah. Maybe it would have been nice to get this one, like, or at least have a little bit more time to think about it ahead of time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that, they got Buster to talk. That was cool.
Oh, yes. Is that, like, and there's another reference to Charlie Chaplin too.
Yeah, she does, like, the
she
dance
takes, like,
and
his his like spent match to use that as like her little mustache.
Yeah, she actually when she does a Chaplin smile pretty accurately, I thought.
Yeah,
because he has kind of a weird smile, a weird unique smile. But yeah, I guess we go. Okay. Hey, I guess it's a short episode. Yeah, I'll kick us off. Yeah, I do love this movie. I do think in my head it was kind of holding or maybe it's just I need to give it more time or whatever. I feel like in my head it was like more of a substantial thing, but really it's like I said, the ending is so burned into my brain, and the ending is really good, and there is like a lot of really good dialogue, there's a lot of really good acting, there's a lot of really good elements to this, and it's a movie that you can like, you can see the influence and like appreciating the dark, how dark it gets for a movie of this time. I felt like I had more to say here, but I'm giving it an 8. So
okay,
it's still a great movie in my eyes. It's still a classic. It's just I was like going into it, I was like this is a 10 for sure. But again, I hadn't seen this since I was like in high school, so
right.
Yeah. But still a great movie.
Yeah.
An 8 ain't nothing shoddy. So yeah.
Right. I'm kind of stuck between a 7 and an 8. I'm gonna say like a strong 7.
Okay.
I liked it decently enough. I liked the performances. The main cast I think is really great. Like I love Max. I think he's maybe like one of the most interesting characters in the whole thing for me. Yeah, it's one of those like you see its influence. And like, I can only like I really like the things that it has influenced, the sort of like meta commentary, especially on like Hollywood and like that kind of stuff. Man, I'm feeling weirdly inarticulate tonight. I don't know why.
I know.
This is a weird one. The Sunset Boulevard effect.
Yeah.
I think I went into it being like, this is like one of the great classic Hollywood movies, and it's got to be incredible, and it was just pretty good. I think I'm spoiled on stuff, on like that weird out there stuff like Night of the Hunter and like Orson Welles movies, where I think my standards have been set higher, where it's like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's like there's those movies, and then there's like classic Hollywood movies, and it's like this one's kind of in between, where I feel like it has a lot of those elements of classic Hollywood movies, but there's like that sort of injection of that more weird, darker side that I think those kind of happy-go-lucky movies don't really have. So it's kind of like this, I feel there's like a bridge between like that weird stuff and then classic Hollywood. So yeah, strong 7.
Cool.
It feels weird having a conversation this short, but I
just
really just kind of watched it and took it in, and I was like, yeah, maybe this is how Moose felt with The Nice Guys, where Moose is like, yeah, I feel like I just watched a movie. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not as like negative about it, but in some ways, it kind of felt like that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I even took more notes than I did for the favorite, but we tore through them really fast. So. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we should make a separate Google Doc where we put IMDb trivia and like fun facts, and we just like consult that too.
I did. As soon as you mentioned the IMDb trivia, I was like, oh shit, that there probably is a lot of really good stuff.
There's a lot on there.
I guess that's something to be said. As like, yeah, if you did like this movie or not, I don't know. If you watched it, I think that is worth looking into, especially if you're not as knowledgeable about this era of Hollywood because there's a lot of like references to real people, real things. So yeah, that kind of adds a little bit of, you know, a bit of another layer to the movie, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess since we did or do have a little bit more time, we can
burn through them.
Yeah, let's see how this works, because the first thing that I put was my intentional cold open, but then we talked about Zelda or whatever. So it's about the, you know, thing that everybody's talking about, the Titanic, the submersible thing. So yes. I don't, this is a thing, I don't know if it's gonna spawn a convo or whatever. If not, we'll just cut this. But it's not necessarily that I want to talk about, but it's in the wake of that, no pun intended. The fact that like every streaming service that we get is like for like, you know, you go to Amazon and it's like featured movies, Titanic, or featured documentaries, Titanic Unearthed.
Oh,
and it's like everyone, it's like recommending Titanic documentaries and stuff, and
that's wow. What an incredible move for like these marketing departments to really like capture the zeitgeist that everyone's talking about.
It's like for all the biting satire to be had in a movie like Sunset Boulevard, the most like what seems like the most egregious or fake is reality.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, it's like 2 news cycles ago, but
yeah.
It is rare when something like that holds like the public attention for like multiple days. I feel like it because usually stuff like that, it's like a day in the news cycle, maybe. With this, like, I think it's because like they thought that they were at the bottom of the ocean, slowly running out of oxygen.
Yeah,
so they were like, we can milk this story for a few days. Like they had like a counter on CNN. I think that was like counting down.
Oh man. Yeah, they thought it was like another cave rescue situation where they could have like a heroic thing. It's like, no, that's not how the ocean works.
The ocean is far more cruel.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's not funny. I don't know why. But there's like another story that I heard about from, I think it was from like the late 80s, but I think it was like a Russian thing. Have you heard of the Byford dolphin incident?
No. This.
So the submersible imploded due to pressure, right? Basically, like,
right, yeah.
Homeboy bought carbon steel shit. Like, it was not designed to like withstand that much pressure, and they just kind of like crumpled together.
Yeah.
The Byford dolphin, I think it's like part of a oil drilling thing, but it's like way down there. And basically what happened, I think there were like 4 crew members inside, I think 2 of which were sleeping. 2 guys came aboard, and there's like a series of doors that there's like stages of decompression they have to go through in order to get in. And one guy opened the door before the guy behind him had a chance to like seal off the other one. And basically, I think the Wikipedia article describes it as like 9 atmospheres of pressure basically came through, and the luckily none of them felt anything. They simply were there, and then they ceased existing. But I think basically it was like this dude got pushed through a 24-inch square. like basically he got. It was like it's so brutal. Like their blood boiled. Like when they found like the crime scene. They're not crime scene. When they like came upon it, there was like pools of like fat that had been burned because like their blood, and it was just like so brutal.
Oh, yeah, that's what they said happened with the ones in the submersible too. I guess that's something I didn't know that happens when you experience intense pressure, is that your insides liquefy.
Yeah,
that's nuts. Yeah, I literally, like, I did not give a shit about it when it was in the news cycle. It was just when I started seeing it, like, on, like, you know, our streaming services. I was like, okay.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
Please don't. Yeah, please stop. Yeah.
Well, a bunch of people being in the bottom of the ocean fighting for oxygen almost sounds like an episode of a British TV show about technology.
I was gonna say, yeah, speaking of like dark, Black Mirror, IRL.
Whoa.
Yeah, Black Mirror season 6. Yeah, it was good. I've been a fan of the show since, I think I jumped on in like season 2. Maybe it was season 1. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, it's good. It's like, it's, as far as all of the modern, and you know, it probably is like the most popular one of these, like modern sort of episodic anthology stuff. Like there's been like a Twilight Zone remake every so often.
Right.
But there's some other ones that I can't really think of that we've watched. I know there's a newer creep show that I would really like to check out because it looks fun, like the OG one.
Are you thinking of the Guillermo del Toro? That's an anthology?
That's another one. Yeah, that's just kind of like, eh. But yeah, right. I would say that, like, you know, it is the most popular. It's the most well-known one, but Black Mirror is my preferred one.
Right.
But I would say this most recent season, so they hit their high point with season 3. That is, in my opinion, by far the best season. Basically every episode is at least like pretty good, but like most of them are like really good, or at least half of them. I don't know. All the other seasons are more hit and miss, in my opinion, but season 3 is like really good. And the last 2 seasons have been even more mid. So I would say that this newest season is the best one since season 3.
Interesting. Okay.
Because, like, the previous season, there was, like, 1 episode I liked, and I think the season before that, pretty much the same thing. Like, 1, maybe 2 that I liked. But this one, I would say there's only 1 that I disliked. All the other ones were, you know, at least pretty good.
Okay.
I think I would call one of them great, and the other one's, like, pretty good. The one great one that I would, you know, maybe a top 5 of like episode of the show for me, if not like 6 or 7, is Beyond the Sea, which is,
I've seen pictures of this one.
Yeah,
it's Aaron Paul.
Yep, and he acts his ass off in it. He's really good in it.
Interesting. There's
a scene where he, like, it's very he can't keep getting away with it. But I mean, not quite, but that's like what I thought of, like the way that it was framed or whatever. But he just, like, he goes from kind of expressionless to like full on, like, crying in a shot, and he's a really good actor. And Josh Hartnett is the other lead, and he's really good too. Mostly just know him from, like, you know, teen rom-coms, but he's pretty good in this one. It also felt good in that, like, bad Black Mirror way of, like, you feel bad at the end of it. It's a very not fun time, very bleak,
Yeah, I've only seen. I think I've seen the first 2 seasons.
First 2 seasons. Okay.
Yeah, like the ones that come to memory, like the first episode with the pig.
That's one of my favorites. That's like top 3. I love that one.
What is it, like 10 million demerits with
1 million merits.
1 million merits with what's his face? Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah.
And then I really like the Domhnall Gleeson one where he dies in a car. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
That one, as from what I can remember, has like the bleakest ending that I've seen in one.
That is pretty.
Where it's just like they just put his AI robot in the attic and bring it out for like birthdays.
Yeah.
And then when it's done, they just send him right back up.
Yeah.
Like there's like that scene where she's like laying in bed and like realizes he doesn't have a heartbeat, and it's just like she's like, "Oh, I don't think I actually want this."
Yeah.
And then there's one that is really corny, I think, in a lot of ways, but has probably one of my favorite needle drops, and it is Radiohead.
Oh, that's season 3. You're talking about Shut Up and Dance.
Is that the one where like the kid gets like trapped by like, and they keep sending him like the troll face?
Yeah, it ends with exit music.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like the way that song works, it's kind of a slow build up, and then as soon as the drums do like ding, 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 and then like you see the cop lights like fade in, you're like,
yep.
Oh, yeah. Really, really like that one.
Yep. That one fucking rules. Yeah, that is an awesome needle drop and ending. Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen a handful of them.
Yeah, so if you finish that one, that's the good season. That's the strongest.
I know,
one,
like
easily.
I've seen people say that like San Junipero is like the best episode they've ever made.
That's what a lot of people say. It's good. It's, I don't know. I really want to rewatch the 3rd season.
Yeah.
It's just so different because it's a like cute romance, and you know, most all of the other Black Mirror episodes are not that at all. They are more like Shut Up and Dance or the national anthem, you know.
Right.
So it's always hard to compare because they have kind of done a couple more kind of like lighter ones like that since,
right?
And it's always hard to compare those ones to the rest of it because it's so different.
Yeah, give me the darkness. Those are the ones that I want.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'd recommend, to you at least, check out Beyond the Sea at the very least. It's pretty good. It's if prepare yourself for a not fun time, but with really good acting.
Hell yeah.
And also the movie, the Bandersnatch, I really dig too.
Oh yeah, I did do that with some friends.
Yeah, Bandersnatch turned out like way better than I think I was expecting for the gimmick that it is. But yeah, it works. Turned out well.
I feel like the first time we did it, we got stuck in a loop.
Oh yeah.
Like I think something kept happening where I don't know. I don't think we got necessarily stuck, but I think we tried doing one thing. We tried doing multiple things, but we kept getting like one of the bad like exits.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. It's been a while since we've done it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Surprised there's not more of that kind of stuff, like choose your own adventure TV programming. I think it's like an interesting idea.
It probably takes a lot of work to do it like properly,
Yeah, you have to film like so many different like scenarios and like pathways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make it like the Memento DVD menu.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Black Mirror. Pretty. If you like it, it's it's one of the better ones. I get one of the better seasons, I would say.
Okay.
Even though it does have Maisie Day, the 5th or the 4th episode is the one that I would say is not good. It's very strange. It's very short too. Which feels weird.
Yeah, I was looking at it on IMDb, and it is like the lowest rated of all of them.
Yeah.
Which sucks, because I like Zazie Beetz. I like her in most things that I've seen, and it sucks to see her in something that's kind of a turd.
You watch it, if you watch it, though, you get, like... For me, it was just, like, it felt like there was hardly any story because it was so short. And also, it's, like... If it wasn't Black Mirror, I wouldn't care as much, but it is Black Mirror, so when you get an episode and it has literally nothing to do with, like, technology or whatever...
Yeah.
You're like, okay, why is this here? What is this? Like, the only sort of kind of thing is that she's like a paparazzi, so it's like, I guess the cameras are the thing, sort of.
Sure.
I don't know.
Some like Nightcrawler shit or whatever.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. I think maybe why I don't have as much to say about Sunset Boulevard is because all I've been thinking about the whole day is a Doom 2 mod.
Okay.
So this has been on my radar a little bit. I think the YouTube recommended algorithm kind of like snuck it in there, because I like creepypastas. I like, it's not, I guess this isn't really like in the analog horror wheelhouse, but like, what was it? The Majora's Mask haunted cartridge. Something like that, like Ben Drowned. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. So I kept seeing on my YouTube recommended the most terrifying Doom mod ever made. So I was like, okay, whatever. And it was called myhouse.wad, W-A-D, which I think is like some sort of like file architecture for like Doom mods. Mm-hmm. And I found this YouTube video essay. It's like it was an hour 40, and I watched the whole thing today, which it's been a very long time since I've found like a video essay that is enough to like keep my attention for that long. Mm-hmm. I feel like we talked about this a little bit with like Jeremy back on the Hot Rod episode, but we kind of got on the tick of like video essays and how a lot of them are basically like audiobooks or podcasts. Mm-hmm. This is like a video essay in its truest form, where it's like the guy basically playing this mod while also like giving context and kind of like basically presenting his findings and his theories about what it's all about. So the mod itself, basically someone hopped on a forum and was like, hey, one of my friends died recently from my childhood, and we were going through his stuff, and we found a floppy disk of a Doom mod that he was working on, and I finished it, and here it is. Very vague, but it was like a Google Doc. Then there's like the file, like the mod, and then there's like journal entries and photos in the Google Doc. And of course, like any sort of like good video game creepypasta, it's like you start the game, and it looks like it's called My House, and you walk in, it's like a house, and it's like there's aliens and monsters in there, and you kill them all, and then you find the key cards to get through the doors, and then you leave, and then you do it again, and basically stuff starts changing.
Okay.
It deals a lot with like liminal spaces, impossible hallways, and impossible doorways.
Sounds kind of like PT.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But it just where it goes, and I know it's kind of a cliche now, where it's like this horror thing is actually about trauma.
Yeah.
And this kind of toes that line a little bit, where the more deep you dig into it, you start to put together a narrative, and it's like, okay, these journal entries are kind of like putting together a story, and there's like multiple, kind of like PT. I think that's a good That's a good like analogy, because there are like multiple outs, multiple endings, like ways that like, okay, the game's done. You have to like, if you want to do more, you have to restart it. Like, there's basically all these collectibles that you have to find to unlock, like, another door that takes you to another section. and it's so cool. I love like creepypasta, like video game haunted cartridge things, but like this game is just like a surface level. You go through a house, and it does like text-based storytelling really well, where it's like a Doom 2 mod. It's like very like, 93.
So it
it's
looks like
pretty.
it looks like Doom.
It's pretty primitive in that way, but there are like certain items that you can grab, and then like when you grab a Pepsi, there's like a Pepsi that you can grab, and in the top left-hand corner it says like, I want a pop. Like it's got like sort of like your reaction almost. But there's one where it's like you go into the attic of this house, and there's like a crib, and inside of it is like a bottle. And if you grab the bottle, the text in the top left just says, it was never meant to be anyway. It's just like, oh.
Yikes.
And that's all it is. It's just a line of text. But just reading that, that's all it is. And you're like, oh, god damn. So I like that kind of shit. Like text-based games like, like Undertale and like Earthbound and that type of shit. Those games are really good at doing that kind of stuff where you can just get devastated by a single line of text. And like that's all it takes. So I'll look up who posted it.
Is it Power Pack?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
the guy who uploaded it. I highly recommend watching it. It's an hour 40, but the way that he does the video and the way that he does the gameplay, because sometimes he'll like talk about what's going on, and then other times he will stop talking and he'll just play the game, and you can kind of experience it with him.
Okay.
Because there's like back rooms shit. There's like, I guess more relevant creepypasta stuff. Like, if you try to like enable God mode or no clip and you try to leave, you get kicked into the back rooms kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah. It's there are definitely horror elements, but it's much deeper than just like a horror mod.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Give that a shot. It's really cool. Let me know if you watch it. I
was,
like,
I'll
entranced by it.
Cool.
Well, I guess since because of a technical issue, I didn't talk about Blood Meridian that much last week. I read another Cormac McCarthy novel, The Road, and then I watched the movie.
So.
Oh, you've read that one too?
Those are the two of his that I've read.
It was pretty easy read compared to Blood Meridian.
Yeah, compared to Blood Meridian.
Much less.
Even though there is some pretty gruesome shit.
Yeah, what is it with him and dead babies?
I know, yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I really like the book. Not as much as Blood Meridian, I guess, but it's just because it's a much more simple story. Like, Blood Meridian, I was like thinking about that last section well after I finished the book. Yeah. And this, I was like, oh, yeah. So I watched it free on Tubi, which is very funny to see a very gray, bleak movie and then get interrupted by, like, Tide ads.
Yeah.
And I was kind of... I think, for the most part, it's a very faithful interpretation of the book. A little bit more saccharine in times that I was like, like with the boy.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I guess I remember it being pretty bleak still.
Yeah. There's like, I don't know, some musical swells that feels a little cheesy.
Oh, okay. Like maybe it's trying to. Yeah, I guess I can see what you mean.
In the end, the endings are both fairly similar, but even in the movie, I feel like the ending kind of had like a positive, optimistic musical cue, and like they had a dog, which I don't think they did in the book.
Okay.
And it was like,
yeah, 'cause he gets taken by another family or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I didn't even recognize Guy Pearce. He was like so gross looking. I didn't like clock that it was him.
Is he the guy at the end? Oh, okay.
He is. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I just remember Vigo and Charlize
there were a
Theron,
few,
think,
like,
isn't it?
Yeah. Robert Duvall plays like the old man.
Yep.
And then Kevin K. Williams, I think his name is. He died like last year.
Michael K. Williams.
Michael K. Williams.
Yeah.
I know him as the dude from Community, but he was in
The Wire and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very brief cameo, but yeah, I thought they were both pretty good, pretty faithful adaptation. They omitted the part with like the dead baby on the spit, which I was waiting for it. I was like, damn, are they really gonna show that? But the basement scene in both were like creepy as hell.
Yeah.
They stumble upon a house and find basically like people are being kept captive and harvested for food, and there's like a dude on a bed with like his leg missing. It's like that was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
There was one thing I noticed where the CGI was really bad. Like there's like a scene early on where they're on the road and they hear a truck coming, so they hide off, and then some guy comes out to like piss and he notices them, and like the man has the gun on him, and he's like don't look at them, look at me, like I'm not afraid to put one in your head. And the guy's like, I think you're chicken shit. And then he grabs the boy, and then like Vigo shoots him in the head, and it's like a really bad digital blood splatter. It's really bad. And then it shows the dude like laying on the ground, and there's like no bullet hole in his forehead like whatsoever. It just felt like for a movie with like a budget like that, I would have thought that, they would have actually used like real blood or like squibs or literally anything.
Yeah.
I was like, huh. But that's a hot wreck from a book from like 2004 and a movie from 2009.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I was inspired by that Facebook thread with our old hometown storm chasing fanatic.
Oh,
but I watched Twister.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which
nice.
Might be the most stacked character actor movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, for real.
I could not believe how many like, oh shit, it's that guys are in that movie. Like, obviously Philip Seymour Hoffman is like the king of character actors.
Yeah.
But I noticed Lois Smith, who we just watched in The Nice Guys.
Yep.
And I guess the Philadelphia Story, I think you said?
No, East of Eden.
East of Eden, that's right.
Yeah.
Like she's in it. Alan Ruck is in it.
That's
Todd Field is in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Did you say Carrie Elwes? Forgot.
Carrie Elwes.
Yeah, Jeremy Davies.
Who,
yeah, got a shitload.
And then like there was one that Patrick Fischler from he was in he's in Mulholland Drive. He's the one that sees the monster behind Winkies.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I never remember that guy's name, even though I've seen him in a ton of things.
Yeah, Zach Greiner, who's in Zodiac.
Yep. Abraham Ben Ruby is in it too, from that episode of Wings that we watched, and also ER.
Oh wait.
He's the gay son in Wings.
Oh, yeah.
Who
was he? Was he like the big guy? Was he the big guy in Twister? I guess.
Yeah, he was one of the guys on the crew.
Damn, I did not even register him.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
Jake Busey.
Or maybe he's on the other. Maybe he's on the other guys. Maybe he's on Carrie Elwes' team. I don't remember.
He could be.
I know he's in it because I haven't seen that movie in a very long time, but
yeah,
I have seen that movie probably a couple dozen times. that was just one of those movies when I was younger.
Yeah,
along with like Kung Pao and stuff.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. The science maybe wasn't the most sound science I think I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
I think we know what it's like in the inside of a tornado. We don't need a little tube with a bunch of balls in it to go flying up into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty fun. It was like an enjoyable little movie from the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of those, add that to the echelon of like just old-timey movies that they don't make anymore. Different from Sunset Boulevard, but you know what I mean. Just like that kind of like summer blockbuster that just has fun and doesn't try to make it's not trying to be the biggest movie of all time sort of thing. And yeah,
I mean, it's got that huge like sweeping score from the 90s that I feel like a lot of movies don't have anymore.
We even when we went to Universal Studios, we did the Twister ride thing.
Oh.
Which is basically like you like stand behind a bar, and then it's like the farm scene, and you just like the set gets all destroyed and stuff in front of you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. We watched some movies and stuff.
We did.
It's cool. And
we certainly did.
I watched a bunch of movies because in the advertisements and everything, they're calling each episode of Black Mirror their films now. So yeah,
important distinctions.
Yeah.
Well, Black Mirror is weird because some seasons will be like 3 episodes and some will be like 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not really like a consistent thing a lot of the time.
No, and some like I think the shortest episode this season was 40 minutes, and then the longest one was like an hour and a half. So literally like twice as long. Depending on the. I'm glad the short one was the short one though, because that was the bad one. And the long one was the good one. So yeah, it works out. Okay, so we got another regular movie for this month of our Lord, July. And we'll see. It might just be us again. We'll see if we can get some people fill in. But yeah, Moose is going to be gone for another episode or two.
Yeah, can wrangle some guys.
Yeah. Okay. So next week's episode, or next week's movie, is something kind of new, sort of, for us.
Okay.
I don't think we've done, well, unless you count Kung Pao. From 1985, directed by Jackie Chan, we're going to watch Police Story.
Oh, nice.
A Jackie Chan classic. Hell yeah.
I have not seen a lot of the classic Jackie Chan movies, so this will be fun. That's like that's like one of his big ones.
I think so. I think it's considered like one of yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to know because as a kid, I would rent any Jackie Chan movie from like the video rental store. So I know Jackie Chan's First Strike, Rumble in the Bronx, Super Cop.
Yeah, I think we watched the animated series a lot.
Oh
as kids.
Yep. Used to always say you need to respect your elders. That was commonly said. Yeah. So if you don't want to be spoiled for Police Story, because it's bringing up the whole series. So I'm just trying to find this. Okay, that's what I thought. It is on Max of the HBO variety, as well as Apple TV for rent. So watch it on one of those. Yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled for it. These episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on Twitch and YouTube in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, I am big. It's the podcast crew that got small.
That's perfect.
TJ, a.k.a. J-Spot Jack Cheese, and with me, as always,
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Yeah.
Nick, a.k.a. Dr. Funk on Twitch.
Then we can go like... Bye.